which was happening around the early sort of 1900s. This is this particular sort of style that we'll look at now is one that I love, and also it's stuff that it probably was used more in advertising. So the stuff that we're going to go through now is really more heavily focused at designers. So like the stuff you'll probably get more excited about. The stuff. Even are you awake there? Yeah. Cool. Just checking. So pictorial modernism sort of started in Europe, and they started using type and image together. So that therefore relating it more so to graphic design. So the first sort of real sort of strong piece that was created out of this sort of style was by an artist, by a designer called Lucien Bernhard, with his 1905 Priest and Matches poster. So I'll talk more about that poster when we show that. But this sort of style, designers were using this style more so for creating stuff to do with the war, like posters. The government were getting them to create work to get the message out there, basically as a communication tool for the public. Okay, so there's a couple of guys called and they call themselves the Mega Stars, and this is basically an advertising design studio that these guys started back in 1894. They started it. So their name, they were brother-in-laws. They went to uni. They studied design together. So they worked quite well together, and they decided to start an advertising design studio in 1894. And the name Megastar, one of them just found a corn bag in the corner of where they were going to set up their studio. It had Megastar Brothers on it, and they just went, yeah, okay, that's a good name. So that's what they did. It's strange how people come up with names for studios. Another guy in Melbourne, he loves ping pong, so he called his studio 2119, which is a ping pong school. Just good stuff there. They developed a technique where they cut pieces of paper onto a board, which we know as being collage. The work, the line, like the actual work that I show, like you can see that the actual lines of the objects and lines in the work are actually they're all cut by scissors and knives as opposed to drawn lines. So it's quite nice to think of the work as being like that. A lot of it relies on implied line, like an object may not be completely finished, but because of the implied line, your eye sort of fills in the gaps. So I think that's a good thing to remember when you're doing anything, is that maybe there's stuff you can leave out and still get the message out there. Like, and you'll see what I mean by that. They're looking at the negative and positive sort of spaces there. There's no face on that girl, but you put not really a face, like it's quite minimal, but you fill it in. You know, the bag, it's just negative space, but you see it as a bag. Lucien Bernhard, you don't have to write all of that down if you like, because it's quite a lot to write down, but he was actually born in 1860 in Germany as well. Manfred would tell you that all the good designers were born in Germany. Mainly he was self-taught, but in 1905 his poster that I'll show you in a minute, he won a competition, so that's really how he got started, a poster competition to advertise Priest and Matches. So he sort of, because of that sort of promoted him to being like this famous poster designer, and he eventually ended up teaching or being a professor in poster design, as well as you can see I've got there in the second paragraph. So in 1923 he went to the United States, and he started with Rockwell Kent, a design company called Contempora. So he designed, over the next years after 23, he did a lot of design projects, and he designed 36 different typefaces. Okay, this is the poster that he won the competition for. Have you seen it before? So this is all just paper, like collage, just cut paper and stuck onto a black card. So I think for the time that was quite a big thing. But I think initially, like, as far as I know, initially it started off with matches. He had a tablecloth. There were two matches sitting on a table. Had a tablecloth, a checkered tablecloth, and there was a couple of girls sitting in the back with not much clothes on. And he started to then look at it and go, well, it's too busy. So he started to just black out all these other elements, and then ending up with just that. I think that works a lot better than if you had all the other stuff in there. I think it's balance-wise, it just sits perfectly on that sheet, on that board. It's a great piece, and from that point, that stemmed a lot of the actual work in that particular style. So I'll show a few more pieces of his. So he went on and did a lot of advertising for different companies. Obviously the typewriter there, and you can almost see like the cut, roughly cut, torn bits of paper, which is great. Always loved that poster. Just like it's so confronting and powerful with that massive bow of the ship, just the size of it. Just the symmetrical balance of it as well, and your eye just runs straight down that centre line. But look out, see, there's like these little white dots, little white spots, which could be birds, I'm not sure, on the left-hand side, which sort of, they kind of balance it out a little bit. So not it, like you've got to think, they're not there by chance, they've been physically put there to make this composition work. Do you think, sorry, makes it look awkward?
Yeah, I think it makes it look awkward because it's all symmetrical, and then it's been thrown in on the side where it makes it just look odd and awkward.
Yeah. I'd love to just block them out and have two side by side and see the difference, see what it looks like. Because I was thinking that they're there because the right-hand side is so much light going on it. And are they there? Were they put there?
Maybe you'd have to see it without.
You would.
And you'd probably think it needs something. Right?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm thinking, because I wouldn't have put, like, doing it, I wouldn't think to put dots there. Like, I go, well, it's really kind of going to be a distraction. But why were they put there? Was it for the balance? Yeah. That's true. That's another.
That makes sense why they do that, to like give it more height.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, you've got a point there. And you can see how line is used so well there, just to sort of, you start off, and the eye just follows that guy's shape down to that type. It's sort of a line that sort of goes, even that top of that fence thing. Sort of eye just follows it down to that, back to that left corner and read across. These are all still Lucy and Bernhard pieces. I love that that image on the left there. Still kind of 1950s looking work as well, like that sort of through the 50s. You sort of see that style as well. Even today. Did a lot of ads for cigarette companies as well. And I don't know, it's something I'm really kind of intrigued about this image. You can just sort of see the power that these guys have got as they're walking across there in their little penguin suits. This next poster by James Montgomery was probably the poster that was most sort of was ever printed the most copies of, like 5 million copies at this time for that poster. So everyone, and this is probably one of the posters that you that most people rip off and put into another context. And again, just that power, like this guy is obviously is ranked very highly in his. You sort of think that Opel and motor cars, they're the sort of people that they're targeting. I showed this one just for the whole fact that kind of look at the way he's kind of looking at you. It's freaking me out. But just the whole use of negative space in there as well, and like we said earlier about the implied line, so there's not, the whole image isn't there, but you create the rest of it yourself. Oh, there's another one. Just trying to, like, comparing this sort of stuff to the recruitment sort of posters that you see today for the army. Can you see a difference? It's kind of, I don't know. Just trying to think. Like today, it's all about the lifestyle, and it's not so much about, like, this is more like confronting. They're forcing you to do it. I think today they try and make it sound like it's a good thing to do, and and it's like, it's probably more about the life, like the other activities that you might do, like the life experiences, as opposed to just your country's needing you. So I just wanted to show, that's the last one I've got in that little series, but I just wanted to show those because the Victorial Modernism stuff, because I think it's quite a very important style that we sort of went through, and I think it's something that you, as a young designer, you can certainly draw from. Having this knowledge and knowing about these particular different styles, it gives you a lot larger sort of resource than if you obviously didn't know about them. So